any balance in the fund to the consolidated fund, and as such, the outstanding amounts should be remitted to the fund and should be recognized as debt. With regard to cross-cutting audit findings, Madam Registrar, ladies and gentlemen, over the years, we have been auditing the political parties that have been receiving funds from the Political Parties Fund. However, as a result of the 2022 amendments to the Political Parties Act 2011, we are now auditing all the political parties. Currently, there are 90 registered political parties. However, as a starting position, we audited 47 of the parties that received funding in the financial year 22-23, and there are 47 because those are the ones that submitted financial statements either within the timeline prescribed by the Public Finance Management Act or within the time when my teams were still in the field. One of you was an exception. And you know, when you delay in submitting these financial statements, it means that you have to be rescheduled and probably be audited in arrears in a subsequent financial year. So if you have not received your audit report, if the registrar has not received a copy of the audit report, then that is the one outlier that you may need to place a phone call and assist the Auditor General in finalizing the audits. So keep in view that the timeline for submission of financial statements for 2023-2024 is fast closing, and you only have 2 weeks left. This is the time I would ask by a show of hands who has submitted and who is ready to submit so that I start the audit on Monday. But I shall not embarrass you. Our consolidation and analysis of the audit results for the financial year 22-2023 have indicated the following cross-cutting issues which you must be alive to, so that we agree what is the root causes, whether it is capacity building, whether the law is too stringent based on the operations of a political party. And remember, even as you lobby for the smaller outfits or smaller political parties, we have others that are giants, that are bigger than some of the state corporations, that are bigger than some of even the listed companies with regard to operations and funding, that cannot be put in that criteria. So we might need to categorize in terms of size, in terms of financing, in terms of membership, or other criteria that you may know better. I am not prescribing here. So we have issues to do with financial statements. Late submission, which I've just talked about, of financial statements. Non-compliance with the Public Sector Accounting Standards Board reporting templates. I have had complaints that they are too stringent for the smaller parties. And this is an area I believe we can work together with the Public Sector Accounting Standards Board on what will give us the best information of a political party that still ensures that there is accountability, there is transparency, and there is full disclosure of the operations and financial management of the political parties. There are unsupported cash and cash equivalents, balances, and misstatements. We're just finding figures in the financial statements with no supporting bank certificates or reconciliations, unsupported expenditures, employee costs, office rental expenses, campaign and election expenses, the biggest culprit, aspirants' allowances, and quite a number of other issues that you will see in your, especially individual reports. And then unsupported membership contributions. Remember, your members are the ones that ensure that you are sustainable as a political party. So you must be able to support. How many members do you have? Are they up to date with your subscriptions so that now you can say, indeed, we are a political party? I don't know, Madam Registrar, whether you refer to them as political party in good standing. That is what our Institute of Certified Public Accountants requires us to be, accountants in good standing. So we might have criteria for political parties in good standing. There are issues to do with compliance and effectiveness issues, and these are the areas that I am very concerned about. Sometimes accountants can make mistakes with the financial statements which can be explained, or they can misinterpret the template, and that leads to improper disclosure or lack of adequate disclosure or missing information. And I pronounce myself with a modified opinion that is qualified, or an opinion that is not clean. But when you have issues to do with compliance and effectiveness, when you have issues to do with internal controls, risk management, and worse still, governance issues, then that is a source of concern, because if those issues are not addressed, then you're not likely to have financial statements that are representative of a true and fair view of the operations of the political parties. And those are the areas I concentrate on in my audits. So I saw in the manual that now you'll be having plans. So we have problems with plans for procurement. And some of you will tell me now, how can you plan for procurement when you don't know what you're going to buy because you're a small outfit? Or when you need to rush to the market and buy something. But you need a plan as a political party. Remember, you have established yourself to promote democracy. Very, very critical. So you must have a plan of operation. You must have a governance structure. And this is critical for sustainability. Political parties are also having pending bills. So you're procuring and you're not paying. No collection of own revenue for public contributions and donations. So you need a plan also on how to generate resources. Because what you're getting from the registrar, based on the formula, I know some of you are getting very little. You're even asking me, is it worth auditing? It is worth auditing because it is from taxpayers' pockets. Whether you got 50,000, whether you got 18 million or 180 million, it is coming from the same pocket, your members, who are the taxpayers. You are also deducting statutory deductions, but you're not remitting. So as I was quoted earlier, because I did say it, and I will not say that I was wrongfully quoted, I was rightfully quoted. You cannot now, as a political party, start borrowing from your members or your staff. Pay up, remit those statutory deductions, and unfortunately, some of you are not paying staff salaries. So how will you keep that political party vibrant if your staff are not motivated? And maybe some of you seated here have actually not been paid your salaries, but you still have that zeal because you have a belief that the aspirations of your party are good for this country. Then there's the issue of internal controls, risk management, and governance. You have bank accounts, but you're not preparing bank reconciliation statements. It is critical. I had quite a number of you introduce yourselves as the treasurers, as the accountants. A bank reconciliation is a critical document for any bank account that has been opened by a political party. You have party assets, which you are not recording properly. So if your party folds, maybe by, deliberately, because there are some parties that fold. As I said, I'm not in the space of politics, but you know the reasons. How do you account for the assets? Who keeps tracks of the assets, or do they get lost by the wayside? Especially the very big political parties that have very big, very valuable assets. Management policies. I had raised the issue of procedures manual, but from today, that is one audit query that I will drop today. But now the query might be, are you implementing? And then there's weaknesses in recording revenue. And it's important that you record your revenue accurately and properly, because therein you can be able to track your expenditures. If you don't know what your revenue is, then your plans for expenditure will also be distorted. So to minimize the audit queries and enhance financial management and accountability, political parties are expected to comply with the laws related to public finance management. These laws guide on prudent utilization of public funds ensuring that parties are still struggling with cash basis of accounting and are not even aware of how some of the templates should be used. I speak to under compliance and effectiveness, good governance, internal controls, and risk management. If they are properly and adequately addressed, then you would have very minimal issues under financial management or with regard to disclosures and proper presentation of financial statements. Out of the 47, because there's one of 8, only 8 had unmodified audit opinion. 29 had issues, so I issued a qualified opinion. 6 had serious issues, and I could only issue an adverse opinion. And 4, unfortunately, times when we speak in Kiswahili or in other languages, we had to issue a disclaimer. A disclaimer is the worst form. It means the Auditor General, my staff, we cannot make sense. So, Madam Registrar, as we build capacity, it is important to find out why we are having qualified adverse and disclaimers, and then we concentrate. In addition, you are required to ensure accountability